Good evening and welcome back to the Blacktop. I am your host, Timaira, and as always, I brought along two friends with me. They should be coming in here any moment. I have, of course, my good friend CJ. He is not only my friend, but my brother. And then I also have Jake with me from last week. So, welcome back, guys.
What's
What's going
Uh,
on?
up?
Back to the Blacktop, where we are all basketball all the time. We had a really fun weekend in basketball. It was kind of sad, kind of somber, but we got to remember somebody who is really important to the game of basketball and to really anybody who's kind of watched basketball since 1993 and up. We got
Yeah.
to witness Kobe Bryant be posthumously introduced to the Hall of Fame. So we're actually going to start with talking about that. That'll probably be the biggest topic we talk about tonight. There's a lot of just stuff, right? There's just a lot of stuff that kind of went on in his career and just everything that was kind of beyond him, and then our own personal experiences. Like, none of us probably personally knew Kobe, of course, but to have stories or just have recollections of what Kobe meant to us. So we're going to start with that. I'm going to start. I actually had some fun doing this. I wanted to start it on a lighter note. So I went through and got some Kobe Bryant trivia. I want to see if you guys know the answers to these questions. So the first one we're going to start with, and this might be one that you guys don't know because I actually didn't know this before today either. But do you know what Kobe Bryant was named after?
I don't.
He was named after a food item.
Wow,
I don't.
that's a new one.
Yeah, see, I didn't know before today either. Apparently, Kobe Bryant was named after Wagyu beef, like the I don't know, really really expensive
Oh,
beef. That's
Wagyu.
yeah. And apparently, it's raised in like Kobe, Japan. And
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it was like his parents' favorite food or what. It must have been cheap back in the day because, like you see it on TikTok now, everybody's just like, 60, $70 for a little
Try a hundred.
piece. So
yeah.
yeah, apparently that's what he was named after.
Okay.
All right, we're gonna move to the next one. Anybody know what team originally drafted Kobe and at what pick?
Charlotte Hornets, and I believe it was at like the
Yeah,
six. I think it was in between the 16th and 19th. I'm gonna go 17th.
Okay, CJ.
yeah. I was gonna say the Charlotte Hornets, and I want to say 15th.
Okay, close. So you're right, Charlotte Hornets, and then 13. So you went number
13.
13, which is
Ah,
like what 13 now? If you
Well,
think about 13 now, there's no way.
and if you can get your hands on that Charlotte Hornets hat of that draft, he was already a Laker when he took the stage and wore that hat. So that's one of the most expensive piece of memorabilia in Kobe that for Kobe that you can ever find. So
I
whoever has
bet
that, whoo.
sitting on a
yeah,
lot of
right.
money there. Yeah. This one should be. I think this one is pretty common. I like this fact. What other language did Kobe speak fluently?
Italian.
Yes.
Because
Yeah, it
that's
was
I believe he
Italian.
lived in Italy, correct?
He did
Mm-hmm.
for 8 years. Yeah, his
Yep.
dad was an Italian basketball professional player there.
Yep.
So he lived there for 8 years. Said he spoke Italian fluently, and so he was able to kind of have that bond when he was overseas and was able to talk to players in Italian.
Yep.
Um, let's see. I think that was my last one. Yeah, so we're talking about Kobe, of course. Everybody knows Kobe Bryant. One team, a 20-year career, five NBA championships. I think we're gonna move on here. Let's start with our Kobe stories here. I'll share mine last. Anybody have one they want to share first?
I'm going to here. I can go ahead and share one. I think one of my favorite Kobe stories is I wasn't very into basketball as I was with football as a kid. So, I played the Kobe Bryant Jam on Nintendo 64. And my brother was like, you should use the Lakers. And use the Lakers. I didn't know who number 8 was, but he's by far the best player on the team. And that's when I learned who Kobe Bryant was. And ever since then, I've been a big fan.
Me, it was just the moment watching him get to play against Michael Jordan. I was a Michael Jordan fan. Unfortunately,
Bulls.
you know, I got to see greatness, but then I haven't seen it as a Bulls fan since. But when I got to see that moment between those two together, and everyone was always pitting them against each other. Kobe versus Michael, Kobe versus Michael. Maybe that's just the fan in us. We always want to see the two best go at each other. But I think what we didn't understand is how deep of a relationship that actually was and became. And it's cool to kind of get that spotlight as young Kobe in the All-Star game against Jordan, who was getting ready to win his sixth championship at the time, just picking his brain and going about business as a professional. And you look at it from that moment on, Kobe just was just crazy, ahead of everyone else, all of his competitors, all of his peers. Kobe was at least a mile in front of him.
I agree.
For sure. Yeah, mine is pretty simple, and like it's like silly, I guess, in some type of nature, just being young minded. So I was a big Shaquille O'Neal fan. I loved Shaq. Like I was like, this is my guy growing up. I just like I was determined to like get around Shaq, and like I just thought I was gonna be his best friend growing up. That was my goal in life, basically, was
I
to be
love it.
Shaq's best friend. Yeah. So I was like, wherever Shaq's at, that's where I'm at. So I was a Shaq bandwagon groupie, and I still am. Like now he's got
Right.
kids, and I'm like, now I'm all about his kids and whatever. One day Shaq is gonna know me, but to bring it
One
to
day.
Kobe, yeah, Kobe decided to switch his number from 8 to 24, and at that time, I was the number 24 on my basketball team, and so everybody that next AAU season, everybody wanted to be number 24, and I was like, listen, all of you guys have had your own numbers your entire, we've been playing together since I think like fourth grade. I'm like,
Right.
why do y'all want number 24 now? This is my number. This jersey size actually fits me. You know what I'm saying? And I was so mad at Kobe. I was just like, why would you do that? Like 8 was a good number for you. You should have kept that. And so for like 2 or 3 years, I really kept that mindset. It was just anytime anybody would talk about Kobe, I was like, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear about Kobe Bryant. I don't want to hear it because he stole my number. And so like as a kid, that number is so important to you that you don't really think about, like I'm like, dang, Kobe, why you stole my shine? Like, Kobe has no idea. He has, no idea who I am. But
No.
in my mind, I was like, Kobe stole my number. I don't want to hear nothing about Kobe Bryant, And then to kind of hear like his like, I don't want to say beefs, but this, it's clear that him and Shaq had some rifts and rafts, within their time at the Lakers together. So to kind of hit that, but to bring it full circle and have Shaq kind of just be like, hey, regardless of the rifts and rafts that you have, we're here to play basketball. We all love this game, and
Right.
it sounds like they still love each other. Kobe talked to his kids, so that's my Kobe moment. Is just and I don't want to take that for granted ever. That's a memory I'll always have, and it's like a good memory personally to me. Is just be like, for a while, yeah, I didn't like Kobe Bryant because he stole my number, which I ended up switching when I got to middle school anyway. So what does
It
that
didn't really
matter? Yeah, yeah. After a while, I was like, I want my
That's
own number.
like-
I love it.
I think one of my other favorite memories is seeing Shaq and Kobe in that interview together and talking about, looking at, the time when they were actually teammates up until now, when they're both retired. And that interview was pretty much a way of moving forward with all the, transgressions that led, throughout the course of their career as teammates. And it was one of those interviews that I would never forget because they did have issues. Regardless of them, they put on a very good show. For them to not be shown that they were like button heads very much constantly, while they're during their tenure as an actual team with the Lakers. So, but then when you watch this interview, they get talking about, the issues that they had, the animosity towards each other, but when it comes to game time, all that goes out the door and they all on the same page and just the number one goal is winning the championship. So, that interview is very memorable and I always, tell people whenever you get a chance to go back and watch the interview.
Yeah, for sure. I've actually watched that interview too, and I recently watched one on Shaq on his own where he kind of just talked about being young-minded and coming into so much money in the NBA. You're trying to get yours, and Kobe's trying to get his, and everybody wants to put buckets on the board to guarantee there's still going to be a Laker next year. So
Right.
as much as it's a team sport, you also want to solidify your spot on this roster next year. And so that's where a lot of kind of that personal beef comes in. But it's good. It was good to hear, Shaq kind of come back and be like, hey, I was a bullheaded kind of individual. I was all about my money, and I just thought money was kind of all of it. And then to kind of switch that when you realize, like, hey, money's not everything. You can have all the money in the world, but if you're doing this for a living and you're not happy, what are you getting out of it? So, um, That's good. I like that. So we're gonna move on. I know CJ, you have a clip here of Vanessa's speech about her late husband yesterday, and we're gonna play that and then kind of talk about that for a minute.
Thank you for being here, Michael. Kobe admired you. This means so much to us. I used to always avoid praising my husband in public because I felt like he got enough praise from his fans around the world, and someone had to bring him back to reality. Right now, I'm sure he's laughing in heaven because I'm about to praise him in public for his accomplishments on one of the most public stages. I can see him now, arms folded, with a huge grin, saying, "Isn't this?" He's still winning. I wish my husband was here to accept this incredible award. He and Gigi deserve to be here to witness this. Gigi would be so proud to watch her daddy get enshrined into the Basketball Hall of Fame. I know Kobe's really looking forward to being here. He asked the Hall of Fame to specifically add a 6th ticket for Capri. He was so happy. He didn't really talk about upcoming awards, but he did mention this one a week before he and Gigi passed. My husband and I were sitting at our kitchen island, and he and I had a conversation about my mother and father-in-law attending tonight's enshrinement. I invited my mother and father-in-law to tonight's enshrinement to thank them for bringing one of the most amazing human beings into this world. Pam and Joe, thank you for raising Kobe to be exceptional. Thank you to all of Kobe's family. Sharia, you've gone above and beyond. I love you. There will never be anyone like Kobe. Kobe was one of a kind. He was special, he was humble, off the court, but bigger than life. To all of our close friends and family that have been present for my girls and I, thank you. That list is long and it takes a village, but know that your kindness and love does not go unappreciated. I know that Kobe is thankful that you're all coming through for his girls. We love you all and are forever grateful for you. If my husband were here tonight, he would have a long list of people to thank that helped inspire him and equip him to be in the Hall of Fame. Family, friends, mentors, the Lakers, teammates, muses, and opponents. This is one of the many hard parts about not having him here. At the risk of leaving anyone out, I can only say thank you. To all those who helped him get here, you know who you are, and I thank you on his behalf. I love you. I don't have a speech prepared by my husband because he winged every single speech. He was intelligent, eloquent, and gifted at many things, including public speaking. However, I do know that he would thank everyone that helped him get here, including the people that doubted him and the people that worked against him and told him he couldn't attain his goals. He would thank all of them for motivating him to be here. After all, he proved you wrong. All of the athletes that accept a Hall of Fame award share the fact that they have to sacrifice a part of their lives to dedicate more time to their craft. It takes a lot of self-drive, dedication, and discipline. No one can take away from their own success. Kobe's personal stats speak for themselves. Kobe was on a different level. He never took shortcuts when it came to basketball. He gave this game his all. Kobe played through injury after injury. To name a few, he had IVs administered during half times to play through food poisoning and the flu. He played with a broken nose. He had a broken finger and had it snap back in place just enough to finish the game. He also taught himself how to use his left hand to play the rest of the season while his finger healed. He even swished 2 free throws with a torn Achilles and walked off the court on his own. I'll never forget the look he gave me as he walked off the court that game. I knew it was bad. The crowd was cheering, and I was reassuring Natalia and Gianna that Daddy would be okay, just like any other injury. But as he walked into the tunnel, there was no wink, and there was no kiss blown my way. I could see the concerned look on his face. That injury was big, but his comeback from that injury was bigger. People don't know this, but one of the reasons my husband played through injuries and pain was because he said he remembered being a little kid, sitting in the nosebleeds with his dad to watch his favorite player play. He could recall the car ride, the combos, and the excitement of being lucky enough to have a seat in the arena. Kobe didn't want to disappoint his fans, especially the ones in the 300 sections that saved up to watch him play, the kids with the same excitement he once had.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube.
Perfect. Yeah. So that's it's tough to watch. It was tough to listen to when it was airing, and it's tough to listen to now. She has some. She truly embodies Mamba mentality. I don't think I could get up there and do that. Yeah, that is tough. That's tough.
Yeah, it was hard. It was hard. You know what I'm saying? I was watching bits and pieces of it last night, and just seeing that now, and it's still hard. Like even when I think about it, sometimes it's like, man, it's like this is like real. This is reality.
Yeah, I think that's it for me. Is like really still kind of coming to grasp with like,
yeah, it's like Kobe Bryant is just not walking this earth anymore. It's just one of those things where it makes you appreciate life for what it is under those circumstances.
Agreed. And I think everyone should just look at it through the lens of we just need to appreciate the guys while they're here, while they're doing what they do. Don't worry so much about what they can't do. And I feel like it's kind of like that LeBron talk right now. Everybody, even haters, are going to come back when he leaves, and they'll all say it. We miss LeBron, right? He brings something different to the game. Kobe brought something different to the game. Like I've said to my brother many times, if you're a star and you become a one-name star, you're never going to be forgotten. Kobe, MJ, LeBron, there's Shaq. There's certain guys who just make an impression off the court that you'll just never forget.
Yeah, that's definitely kind of my take on it. It's just that, we really have to appreciate, and this goes beyond basketball, but just everybody appreciate your people while you have time. It, like I said, it's still kind of surreal to me. When I think back on that day, I can remember like physically feeling numb and just being like, what, like trying to actually figure out like what's going on. Is this for real? Is it fake? Like if somebody's actually joking about this thing, is terrible. So, it really made me appreciate, everybody that I have in my life, and it made me reflect back on my own time playing sports with my, my own teammates and coaches, and just you really appreciate the time that you had with them. And I wouldn't want to see, any of them perish in any way. I wish we could all live forever, but just, appreciate people while you have time. So.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I think we're gonna leave it there before we all start boohooing on here about Kobe. Yeah. We have a couple other people we're gonna talk about tonight. I'm excited to talk about the next one, Tamika Catchings. She was drafted in 2001 into the WNBA, the third pick out of Tennessee. She went to the Indiana Fever at that time. She had an amazing career, really. She was I guess, facts about her is that, and she says this in her speech, she was born with a hearing disability. So I believe she's like either partially deaf or fully deaf in either or both ears. And because of that, then has a speech impediment. So imagine, not even being able to hear, but right, and then communicate, right? So you're picking up and watching people talk and getting bits and pieces and then trying to navigate this world, and then to go play professional basketball on top of that. It is really inspiring to kind of hear her story. I believe we have a clip on her as well.
The day basketball chose me. I was in 7th grade, sitting in my room, pondering what I would be when I grew up. I can still feel the smile that was plastered on my face. When I finished writing it, I ripped out my page. I flew down the hallway to find my brother and sister and broadcasted, "I know what I want to be when I grow up." I shoved the piece of paper in their hands and waited to hear their responses. On cue, they both said, "This is so cool. Have you showed Mom? Have you showed Dad?" I snatched the paper out of their hands and I ran downstairs screaming, "Mom, Dad, I know what I want to be when I grow up." And as I found them in the living room, I shoved the piece of paper in their hands, waiting for their response. They both looked at each other and they said, "Honey, if anyone can do it, you can." What was my goal? What was my goal? What had I written? One day, I will be a professional basketball player in the NBA. Yeah, the NBA. Thus began my true journey to becoming a pro. Basketball chose me, an awkward, lanky, introverted tomboy born with a hearing disability, a speech impediment, and a will to overcome obstacles, dream big, and to change the world. Basketball chose me, but God had even bigger plans for me. I never dreamed of being a Hall of Famer. Outside my dad and my family, the legend that just walked me to the stage both played an instrumental part in my journey. I modeled my game after Zoe and literally had a wall full of Zoe posters and all of the Charlotte Hornets merchandise. All of it. Despite living in Chicago Bulls country. Sorry, Jordan. To me, it was the way that he played the game and the way he gave to his teammates. You showed me what being a multi-dimensional player was. And I thank you for being my first role model outside of my house. Yeah, it's kind of cool to be walked to the stage by my first. Dawn, you showed me how to lead, both on and off the court. You entered my life via the '96 Olympic team. That's the year I decided I wanted to follow you, Lisa, Cheryl, and so many more. And I wanted to represent our country on the big stage. I didn't know 8 years later I'd be starting a journey to an Olympian. Watching you taught me how to lead and how to use my voice in so many ways. You were the reason that I had a passion for giving back and inspiring future generations. I've continued to look up to you in mere admiration of who you are and how you continue to step up and challenge the status quo. Thank you. Well, I have so many people to thank, but I want to start with my family. Dad, you were my first true coach. Truth be told, my coach throughout the whole career, even when I didn't want you to. Standing up here on the stage, I now realize why you pushed me as hard as you did, to help me reach new heights and be great in my own way. Thank Dad. Thanks to my stepmom, Latrice, and my baby brother, Bryce, for being here and sharing in so many moments along the way. Mom, you are simply amazing. Coming off the heels of Mother's Day, the sacrifices you made, running us from gym to gym, field to field, you have made me look at you as your favorite superhero, Superwoman. The moments we've had together have molded me into the woman that I am today. When I go back to memory lane, I think about the time you dragged me off the softball field. After yet another temper tantrum and the bat sailing through the air toward the dugout. In the car you said, "Tamika, if you don't get your attitude in check, no matter how good you are, people won't want you on your team." Well, it worked, kind of. To my brother and sister, Kenyan and Taja, you always hear about my brother's keeper, but you too have been my keeper through the ups and downs, good and bad. Thank you for knowing what to say and when, and for allowing me to be me. Thank you for continuing to believe in me and support all of the dreams and goals that I've shared with you too. I'm thankful to share this stage with my entire extended family, including my older sister, Christy, my niece and nephews that are here tonight, and the ones that could not be here. Thank you for allowing me to love on you like my own kids, and to provide you your first experience at a professional basketball game, along with your first French fry experience, and the best ice cream ever, pink bubblegum, of course. Still a little upset that you guys don't love it. To all of my coaches, could you have imagined this is where we'd be one day? From Stevenson High School with Coach Matucci, to Duncanville High School with Coach Hackett, to playing for the first female coach I ever saw stomping on national TV with those steely gray blue eyes and an arena of the prettiest orange color in the background. Insert Pat Summitt, a.k.a. Pat.
Yep.
The University of Tennessee and Thompson-Boling Arena. I received my first handwritten letter from my collegiate assistant coaches, Mickey, Holly, and Al. Thank you. During my sophomore year of high school, and I immediately placed it on my wall, amidst my Alonzo Mourning posters, of course. Pat always stressed the importance of learning defense and offense. My first practice at UT will go in the history book because Pat critiqued my defensive stance, or lack thereof. I remember thinking, this lady had no idea how to play defense. This was after championship number 5. Needless to say, Pat's persistence for us to buy into the defensive strategy or sit on the bench literally transformed my game. I know you remember that, KJ. Thank you for being here. Offensively, Pat and our coaches preach looking for the opportunities to work together and make the play that leads to accomplishing the goal of scoring. I know it's the off-the-court staple that I've carried into my life. Pat taught us that same offensive strategy could and should be used in the community for impact. She was the perfect blend of the pursuit of excellence infused with humility. Her legacy lives on through her Pat Summitt Foundation and has inspired me to encourage you to catch your dreams one star at a time through our Catch the Stars Foundation. To my good friends, Ebony Hoffman-Cass, Tammy Sutton-Brown, Carlos Knox, my First Lady and Pastor, Alicia and John Ramsey, Dawn Owens and Swin Cash, both who are here tonight, thank you for reminding me every day about what true friendship is all about. And Swin, whoever said that UConn Huskies and Tennessee Lady Vols couldn't be friends, well, we've definitely overcome the odds. Year future and counting. Thanks to the Simon family, Rick Hughes and Jim Morris, my Pacers Sports Entertainment family, and so many more for believing in me and for sometimes instilling faith in me when I couldn't see it.
Wonderful. I loved her speech on so many levels. Like there was just so many little pieces in there that are like, oh, plugging at my heartstrings. So I'm going to touch on a couple of them. Just personally, like I absolutely love that she, highlights that you can have some type of disability, any type of disability, and still be successful in the game. I also love that she touched on, her tomboy childhood, right? That's something that's really personal to me. Is I grew up a tomboy. Anybody that you come walk through Madison and mention my name, people are going to know that I was 100% a tomboy. I was out there trying to play football with the boys. I was playing soccer with the boys on the soccer field, and then I wore basketball shorts every day until you graduate high school. And at an important time, in your life where wearing clothes is an important statement, I was like, I play basketball and I'm wearing basketball shorts and sweatpants, and that's who you get, right? So I really appreciate that she kind of touched on that. And then I have a sister who also has a hearing disability, so it's really sweet to kind of hear her touch on that and say, hey, I have these things, they're not limiting to my life, and that she was still able to pursue her career at which time I think we all say when we're small, at least I think most of us girls do, is that we say we want to play in the NBA. I don't think I ever grew up saying I want to play in the WNBA. You just shoot straight for the NBA. They're gonna allow me to come in. I'm playing in this NBA, and nobody's gonna stop me. So I really appreciated that. And I'm gonna say I don't know if anybody knows this, but she recorded the first, or she's the first woman at least to ever record a quintuple double. Anybody know what that is?
Yeah.
That would be the point? So double digits in points, rebounds, assists, and I believe is it blocks?
Yeah, so she recorded 25 points, 18 rebounds, 11 assists, and then the double came in at 10 steals and 10 blocks.
Wow. Yeah.
So to have a career like that alone.
Well, and I think
you call her an all-around player.
Well, yeah, she. Just to touch on her career a little bit, I mean, she was a champion in 2012. She was the Finals MVP. She was the WNBA MVP the year prior to that. She was a 10-time All-Star, 7-time All WNBA first team, 5-time All WNBA second team. And here's where it starts to change. You're talking a 5-time Defensive Player of the Year, which she alluded to Pat Summitt driving her to be better defensively.
That's right.
She won the Rookie of the Year in 2002. They retired. The Indiana Fever retired her number 24 for their team. She's the all-time steals leader for the WNBA. She's the all-time scoring leader in the playoffs. She's the all-time rebounding leader and all-time steals leader. All playoff records that she holds.
Great.
Right, she's amazing.
I mean, I remember when she was drafted.
Yeah, I actually remember that as well. It was she. This is when I hear her name, it screams out breaking barriers. And she broke barriers like no other. She was amazing. It's watching her play, and it sucks that in the day that we live, in the age that we live, WNBA doesn't have as much prime as the NBA. But now watching Tamika Catch's speech and hearing it, it's just one of those things where we have to be free as much as the men in basketball. Because this is why she broke barriers. She did the impossible. You know what I'm saying? Even at the same time where there might not be a lot of people who actually watch the WNBA, but she is a big inspiration. She is that person who, if you ever feel like you can't do anything, she's the one that can get you to do it. And this is what it's all about. Congratulations to Miss Catchins. I wish her the best, and this is what it's all about, man. This like I would say that this year's Hall of Fame class was a pretty good one.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I would agree with that. I mean, I personally enjoyed Kevin Garnett after Jordan left the game. I enjoyed Kobe Bryant, but I was still looking for a guy that I could really enjoy and just really get into his style. And I just loved Kevin Garnett's just aggressiveness. He drove those Timberwolves teams to be good, carried them, to a 1 seed. Unfortunately, got swept by Kobe and those Lakers. So it was, seeing him get his opportunity in Boston to get that championship, I think was a perfect moment in his career. I think he was just a stalwart when it come to a power forward playing physically, but still had a really nice long jumper that he could hit. Same thing with Tim Duncan.
Yeah. Kevin Garnett was our last guy to talk about tonight, and then I agree with you. Kevin Garnett, to me, we talked a little bit before the show. I enjoyed watching Kevin Garnett play. I actually remember rewatching a clip, or I don't even think it was me purposely rewatching, but ESPN for a week straight, replayed the clip of him going in on Glenn Davis on the sidelines. And just reeling into him. And this dude is this is a big dude, we're talking about, and he's bawling,
Mm-hmm.
And so to kind of see that, ESPN played that clip over and over and over again. And, everybody kind of made him, now I'm going to say this about Kevin Garnett. He was the type of guy, he was going to get in your face, and he had absolutely no problem with fighting. He kind of had that just, I'm here to play basketball, and if you want to go at it, we can go at it and settle it on the court right now during this game type of attitude. And those are the type of players I like. I think that's why I like Shaq so much, is that he was just like, you know what, I'm big, and what are you gonna do about it? You know, you can't
Yep.
stop me, and here I go. You know, now you know, there's a part of my body in your face now, and you can't do anything
And
about
you
it.
can't do
So
anything.
yeah, that's
I
just
love
it.
it.
It's just, and I tried to like emulate that Owen style. Like I was just always a tall, lanky kid too. So I was just like, you know, I think I was what 5'7", I want to say, in like 5th grade. And so
Okay.
everybody, you know, like you're fighting for fouls. I'm like, I'm getting fouled, and refs are like, no, you know, just play.
You're okay.
You know, so yeah, you're okay. Tough up, Buttercup. You're okay.
I want to add some light into one inductee, and that was Ben Wallace.
Oh yeah.
Ben Wallace went to a small school for college, and nobody thought that he was going to make a big impact as he did in the NBA. He went to Virginia Union, and I went to Virginia Union as well. And when I walked on, I didn't know the history of basketball there. Yeah, Charles Oakley. He was also who was also a Virginia Union Panther, and then you have Ben Wallace that was there. So when I got there, and when I went inside of the basketball court, those were the two names that stood out to me. And I was like, oh wow! So it's not just a small school. This is a school that is known. It's a HBCU. And things like that. So, um, you know, going to Virginia Union actually made me like Ben Wallace a little bit more because I was able to get my hands on those films that we didn't see during his career, and it just made me like his style a little bit more, and it made me appreciate his career a little bit more as how far he has came.
Honestly, I loved Ben Wallace. I remember, I remember that team going into the finals against the Lakers. My dad, I lived in a household Lakers where it was all Lakers. I had to fight back with my Bulls. It didn't last so long, but I remember going into this finals, and I called it. I told my dad, I was like the guy who doesn't roll his hair up in cornrows. I was like, that guy is gonna whoop Shaq's ass, and he did. He did.
And
He
he
came
did.
out and
And
he
he did.
D'd him up like no one else. Not even Dikembe Mutombo D'd Shaq like this. Yao Ming didn't D him like this. Ben Wallace got in his grill, was like, "Yeah, you may be bigger than me, but I'm gonna get that center point of gravity. I'm gonna whoop you." It was great basketball. I told all Lakers fans they weren't winning, and the Pistons won.
See, there
Definitely.
you go. And Ben Wallace, actually, I believe he was the first player. Was he first player undrafted? So he was an undrafted NBA player
Mhm.
in the draft. But he was the first one last night to be introduced into the Hall of Fame. So, you know, that's another thing. And we could talk about HBCUs and kind of just players that come out of there all the time. But yeah, that's a big milestone in itself to be the first. You know, you always want to be the first in something, and so that says something for guys who are like, I'm going into the draft now. I'm undrafted. You know, what's
Definitely.
next for me? It's like, hey,
Right?
grind hard. Look at Ben Wallace. Look what he just did. So
Work
yeah,
ethic showed.
right. Your worth ethic. You know, at the end of the day, you know, your worth ethic speaks for you. So
Yep.
you know, stay in the gym and work hard and kind of go down that path. But this has been fun, guys. We've had a great time tonight. Um, I don't have anything else unless you guys have anything else you want to touch on.
I do want to touch on one thing. I
Sure.
want you guys to be quick with it. No thoughts.
No thoughts?
Any player predictions.
I have no thoughts about the thoughts because, child, this is a mess over here.
Oh wow, I love it. You said no thoughts.
who
Um,
who comes out? Who comes out as the first seed, and who comes out as the eighth seed?
decisions. I'm gonna, I'm gonna go Golden State's beating the Lakers because of the way that Curry is just on a roll. He's going to play his game. He's going to push the points really high, really fast. I don't think LeBron's ankle is going to be prepared for the weight he's going to have to carry on this Lakers team. I think the Lakers are in a horrible position playing against a team who is on fire. I'm going to go with Memphis to take out the Spurs. Just because, again, Memphis is super scrappy. They're just always in the game. Same with San Antonio, but I feel like Memphis is just in that right place. We jump over to the East. I think the Hornets are actually going to take down the Pacers. The Pacers have just kind of been in and out type of team all year long. And this was the one that stands out to me because of my friend down here, CJ. So we have the Celtics taking on his hometown Washington Wizards. Like the guy won't root for Washington because he doesn't like the coach. But I'm going to tell you this now. The Wizards are taking down the Celtics. Bye-bye, Team Green. Washington's going in.
This is very interesting. This is very, very interesting. Right?
No thoughts. No thoughts.
my hometown team versus my actual favorite team. This is very interesting. They don't have Jaylen Brown. Jaylen Brown is out for the rest of the season.
Yep.
So now it's up to these younger guys, these draft picks who we are actually looking at now. So it's going to be rough. It's going to be something to try to contain Russell Westbrook and Bradley Beal in one swoop. Not having Jaylen Brown doesn't really have me very much hopeful, but I think it's going to be a real dope matchup, and I guess we'll see from here.
Yeah,
But,
we'll leave it there because like I said, I really didn't have any. Well, I'm not gonna say I didn't have any thoughts, but my thoughts were just that I didn't. We were talking before the show. I didn't expect to see the Lakers kind of in the position that they're in.
Nope.
I was actually shocked to see the Hornets kind of fall to where they are, and it's really win or go home right now. And some of the questionable decisions that Hornets coach made in their last game. So we're in a tight spot. Like I said, I'm really shocked to see the Lakers go from last year to this year. But I do agree. I don't think LeBron's ankle, is 100% healed. And because he's forced to kind of play on it to make sure that they kind of win and get into this play-in, I don't think he's going to be able to kind of hold up, especially against Steph Curry, who just seems to be aging extremely gracefully. Yeah. Who's our producer? I don't understand. Guy needs to be fired.
Right.
I just want to say this, okay, Timmy, you have been great these first 2 episodes of the Blacktop. Honestly, it's just I'm glad to see, women breaking barriers, and you being a host of this podcast and hearing Timmy Kakachin's story all over again, and seeing just women come up inside of sports. With the coaches and NFL referees, and it's something that is great to see. And you see that sports who were very masculine led to finally allow women to be a part, and not only be a part, being a part in a major way. So I'm all for it. Make sure you guys tune into the Blacktop. Okay?
I'm going to piggyback that real quick. Just a quick thought. We didn't have too much on our side of activism, but I did see earlier in the week that the NBA, which we were talking about how it was important for the NBA and players to do their part of being, activists and doing the part to speak up with people who don't have the voice to do it. And I was super proud. We got to give props to the NBA for creating the Kareem Abdul-Jabbar Social Justice Champion Award. I think that right there speaks in volumes to where that the NBA league is in comparison to the NFL, to the NHL, to the MLB. The NBA has definitely got their finger a lot more on the pulse of what actually is happening in the social fabrics of our country. And just to be able to pick Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, I mean, really, of a lot of people, just his approach was great. He was an amazing basketball player, but at the same time had to bear the burden of being judged because of his religious beliefs, and then also being a black man in America, being judged for who he is. So I think we should definitely take recognition for a second to be like, hey, NBA, good job. I mean, they're promoting these guys to do what they should be doing. Use your voice.
Absolutely. And I think a part of that is really kind of the breakdown of the NBA right now and looking at who's in leadership within the NBA and the fact that there's a lot of players who, they retire from actually playing the game, but they're still involved within, these teams, the teams that they played for or other teams. They become coaches, they're, mentors to these young guys. And I think the NBA realizes that, hey, we need to get ahead of this. This is not something that our players are personally going to stay quiet about. and unlike the NFL, you can't really push. You might be able to push one or two underneath the rug, but you're not going to be able to push an entire team.
Nope.
Otherwise, you're going to lose those
why.
guys, and
Yep.
it's just
I think
a tough spot for them. So I'm happy to see it. But you're absolutely right. I think we don't shine a light. I'm going to say in general, just in America, we don't shine a light on guys who come and play, and they have different religious backgrounds, and not everybody believes the same way. And so they're persecuted within their own team, on in players, in the
Yeah.
people that support them.
Yep.
So, but I do want to thank you both. Yeah, I absolutely love hosting this show. I am thankful to Velocity Sports for even giving me the opportunity. Like I said, this is something I want to do my entire life, so I'm having fun. There's nobody that can tell me anything now. I'm having fun. I'm doing it, and I'm happy to be doing it with you guys. So thank you.
I also
Thank
want
you.
to add one more thing before we end this is that the reason why is you look at the NFL ownership versus the NBA ownership. The NBA ownership is more of a coalition than the
Yep.
NFL's being a pyramid scheme.
Yeah.
Yep. And come on, let's all call it out. Bunch of old white men who own
Yeah,
the team.
no, I know. Like I tiptoe. I hate that I do it, but
Yeah.
I tiptoe around saying stuff like that.
I'll
But
say
like
it.
you're absolutely right. I mean, when you look at it, we got a bunch of old white guys out there that are
Yeah.
just like, they have, and I'm not gonna say that no, I'm gonna say it's their fault because you're supposed to be progressive, but
Yeah.
like they have a certain mindset, and it's unfortunate that these are the people that are in place or in charge of
Like, it's just that you haven't seen an
employing.
owner. You haven't
Yeah.
seen an owner in the NFL that did what Mark Cuban did. Mark Cuban went out and found Delonte West, gave him a
Right.
home, put him in rehab, still gave him a home, and said you can stay here as long as you want until you get you back on your feet.
I will give props to Mark Cuban. We got to remember he was a hippie in a garage that started this little computer company, and
Oh,
I got
yeah.
to give it. You got to remember hippies are a little more open thinking and
You're
open
right.
minded to the way that the social fabrics work. So he's not stupid.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, no, overall a good guy. I've loved watching actually Mark Cuban. So just kind of even growing up and watching Dallas and kind of how he interacts with his players down there. So yeah, definitely props to him. But you're absolutely right. Until we can kind of get people in leadership that honestly understand and respect the views of the people that honestly they employ. Right there at the
Yeah.
end of the day, you employ these guys to play. You would think you would have some type of compassion for the life that they lived prior to football or even currently as football players.
Yep.
So we have a long way to go. We say, we're not done talking about social injustice and all the things that go on in this country. And like I said, we said in the last episode, we won't shy away from it. So if you want to hear it and hear it truthfully, it's going to happen here with a female host and my two guy friends. So
I love it.
yeah, thank you guys so much for hanging out with me tonight.
Thank you.
You guys have a good night, and our producer clearly needs to be fired. I just don't understand at this point. I just don't get it. But thank you for tuning in to watching the Blacktop. Again, I'm your host, Timaira. I was hanging out with my friend Jake and my friend CJ. We hope that you guys have a great night and stay safe.